I'd like to, at this point, call our meeting to order for the City of Erie Land Bank meeting for May 15th. And at this point, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the agenda along with the minutes from the April 17th meeting.
So,
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Takes us to financial report.
So in front of you, you have the balance sheet and profit and loss statements as of April 30th. The balance in our accounts total $188,930.41. We are currently using Felix and Glucker to do our Erie Land Bank audit, which they are working on wrapping up hopefully soon. And we are also looking into possible property management software that will allow us to more easily integrate our properties that are acquired and sold through QuickBooks Online and update that more frequently instead of having to manually enter each one individually.
Did anyone have any questions on the financials? If there are no questions, can I get a motion to approve financials?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Takes us to citizens to be heard. Anyone here today wishing to speak? Or, I'm sorry, yep, right.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Kanash. I'm a resident of the city of Erie and sometimes a renovator developer. And I'm here because I'm interested, because you have a couple of West Side properties coming up. I know this isn't a time or the place that decisions are going to be made, but I have two questions. So the one of them is on 700 block of West 5th, and I got a little bit of information, and if you can give me some feedback, I'm going to look at it with Jacob Huff sometime soon, then I'll know a little bit more, and I'm more than willing to do the prudent due diligence of bringing contractors through and, submitting a good package. But on the flip side, if it's just price, I think there's somebody out there, I'll call him a low-end guy who probably can buy it on Tuesday and rent it on Wednesday or maybe the following week. And that's okay, if that's the way it's going to do. But if and if it was maybe closer to a method that used to exist way back when, where, it was scoring. I'm not telling you how to do business, but hopefully, I know, Chris, you're nodding your head, you're probably in the game of saying if it's developer experience and actual work done and, capabilities as demonstrated in the past, then I'm all in. I'm going to put in together a great package. But if it's primarily price, then I'll just, walk to the sideline. So if you give me some feedback on that subject of how you compare evaluated proposals for something that's coming up and I'm very interested in.
Okay. Would anybody like to comment on?
And if that's beyond the scope of this, that's, I
Yeah, I mean,
understand.
I think if you'd like to reach out to any one of us individually, we certainly,
yeah,
Who does evaluate it? Maybe just
yeah,
tell me
we
that.
do. We certainly approach this with more than just price in mind. So, I mean, there's.
Okay.
sure. And we just went
That's
through a
fair enough.
study session and kind of upgraded that. I don't know if we are ready to.
Yeah, no, I did. I believe I did send you an email back and
You did.
said that we don't use the old
Scoring.
scoring system that had been used at one point, but that we take into consideration and use developer skill, and the price is not the main priority.
Great. No, I love that, to hear that. And secondly, I know we talked about this a little bit, Mindy, so there's a second one coming up right in my neighborhood, a few blocks away, 1700 West 6th. So far, Mindy has clearly said there's no chance I can get to look at that. And before that is completely argued, if I might step up, this is a property, and it's in your record somewhere, that was scheduled for demo, and my son ended up buying it, 963 West 6th. If you could pass that around a little bit. Take the first 3 or 4 pages. And the important thing I've done, that was
Mindy.
scheduled
Wrong
for
one.
demo. and I have completely renovated it, and you see that now. And so I'd love to look at 1700. I can't say I'm even interested, but so far I've said it's been too dangerous to walk through or something like that. I'd love to look at it. If that could be feasible, great. And if it isn't, then so be it. But I'd love to look at it. It's a cool brick building. It's in my neighborhood. It would be awesome to believe it could be rehabbed, but maybe it can't. It needs to be demoed. So be it. Once again, that's the end of my comments. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other citizens wish to speak? Any citizens online? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to close that portion and move on to a report from the executive director. Aaron?
All right, thank you. So just wanted to, in your packet is provided the 2021 and 2020, or 2022 and 2023 work plans. We're moving along. The majority of the properties on the 2022 work plan are down. I believe there's a couple more left to be demolished. Just as a brief summary where we're at right now, we have right now 10 developer proposals that are out there. So there's those 10 properties that we're waiting on developers to rehabilitate. We've had 2 successful rehabilitations through all of our work plans and a numerous amount of vacant lots due to demolition of properties that were structurally unsound. So we continue to work through those. On the 23 work plan, we're waiting on that. The district tax sale 6-month period, I believe, has expired. Just expired. Oh, June 5th? Oh, wow, okay. So June 5th, we'll be able to evaluate and demolish those properties, and then we're finishing up some final appraisals on the condemnation action on the properties requested of the redevelopment authority to file condemnation on. Once we have those appraisals, it's primarily the commercial appraisals we're waiting on right now. They take a little bit longer than our residential appraisals. So as soon as we get those done, Gene and his team will be able to file the declaration of taking on those properties, and those properties will proceed through the process. So in 1737 West 6th Street, which we'll talk about under unfinished business, new business, was part of our condemnation proceedings from November. It was finalized the end of April, so we are now able to move forward with the next steps in that property's decision and future. So we'll talk more about that under that. So that is my report for today.
Thanks, Aaron. Any questions? Anything for Aaron? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on then to solicitor's report.
Good afternoon. The only thing I have to mention is the properties that Aaron spoke of that were purchased as part of the tax sale. Those title searches are back. They've reviewed so that on June 6th, we'll be able to file those actions to clear those titles up to make sure that everything is tidy up so that we can get that done and expedite that. So we've beforehand got the title search. They're now back, so we'll be able to kind of go full steam ahead on June 6th. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, takes us to unfinished business and new business. Vacant lot proposals. Mindy?
Yeah, so you have in your packet vacant lot purchase proposals. The items of note, so for the property at 212 East 30th Street, she did have past due utilities up until Friday. She didn't take them off, knowing that we were coming here today. But there are no other competing offers, so just I take that into consideration with that property. The only other property to discuss that has the multiple offers is 2426 State Street. There are 2 separate offers for that. The one is a Erie police officer, and he's looking at it for future development plans. They do own not an adjoining lot, but one that is up by 2 parcels. The other person that put in a proposal is a company that works with the Sisters of St. Joseph, And they do have an adjoining lot that's behind it. It's not on the same street, it backs up to it. So they would be actually purchasing it to then have the Sisters of St. Joseph put a community garden on.
So this is behind the Tipsy Bean?
It's the owner of the Giselle's the owner of the
Okay.
Tipsy Bean.
Yeah, down the hill behind.
Down the hill, yeah.
All right, so, okay. So there's a close proximity to her business to, so it helps me to,
Yeah.
she's not an absentee developer, but she's really, you know,
Her business is there. I think she lives there, too. Right?
okay.
There's an apartment there.
I do not know that, but.
Yeah, I've worked with her
Question.
before.
Yeah, because it says buyer address is 2425 Peach.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's,
I got a question.
oh, it's what?
What are the sisters plan on State Street, a garden?
Yes, we did check with them to make sure that, because whenever they put their proposal and they said that they would have the sisters put a community garden in, and we did double check to make sure that that was in case. And they are planning on doing that at that property.
And you know, we've had issues with community gardens, not so much with the Sisters of St.
Not with
Joseph,
the
but with
sisters,
other
yes.
well-intended nonprofits. So I think that's where
Well,
Mr.
as a resident of the area.
Mr. Gamble's
And
concerned.
speaking for my neighborhood watch group, we'd be totally opposed to any more gardens.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes, and especially on 24th and State. I don't think that'd be,
So I was going to ask if we want to separate this one, or if we, I mean, we've already started discussing it. I guess we can continue on this one first. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
So, and I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in here. Do we have any detail about future development plans from Talarico's offer? What does that mean?
Just that they own a business right there. Again, it's 2 or 3 parcels up, so they're trying to attain more land in order to, in the future, expand their business.
So I,
What's the name
it's
of
just,
it?
It's, if you're going upstate, it's right next to the Zodiac Diner. It's right next to the Zodiac
It's before it, if you're heading
Diner. And then
south.
they own a couple lots that's open there, and we mentioned that eventually, if we had enough land, we could eventually develop that. But at this point, we didn't have any decision on what it would be.
And there are 2 houses in the way of that.
yeah. I would like to know a little bit more about this, because it's right on State Street.
Correct. Yeah.
Because, and you know, I think the sisters do great work, but I'm with Paul. I mean, community gardens to me, now, if anybody's going to pull it off, they will.
Yeah, no, well, and that's
Okay,
why I
but-
questioned it too. 'cause-
But right on State Street,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if that's the highest and best use. I don't believe it is. I'd like to know what the future development plans are. Does that mean actually building something? Because that's why we have Alerta, is to incentivize that. Or is it just to put a parking lot in? I would like to know more before we make a decision on this, and I'm likely going to abstain because I'm affiliated with the city anyways, but
Well, I feel like we
I don't
could
know what
take
everybody else
this
thinks.
property out, not vote on this property at this time, and require more information from the 2 that are interested and bring it back next
I mean, I'll let
month.
my colleagues speak, but that's my,
I would agree for all the reasons. I mean, a State Street property, I think, has to be examined more closely. We have had issues with community gardens in the past, not with the Sisters of St. Joseph, but other organizations. I toured Mr. Gamble's neighborhood and saw firsthand what can happen. So I would make a motion to table this consideration of this property until next meeting or until we know more. However, that's better done.
I think that's great.
Daria, did you want to make any comments?
I just wanted to ask, in the gathering of additional information, if you could tell us more about the particular business that they own. I hear the description, I live on State Street and I walk down State Street, that's like my walk, and I walk by this all the time and I can't picture the property or the name of the business. I think that'd be helpful as we think about what their development could be, what the nature of the business is. So just adding this one more piece I'd like to know. But I'm in favor, certainly, I'd like some more information all around.
Okay, we had a motion to table. Do we have a second? Second from Deb? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So we'll just jump up top then to East 30th, if that's okay? Okay. Is that a duplex? Is she the owner? Mindy? Is that how I'm reading the address here?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's a duplex.
Or it's the house next, or,
She's the house
I'm
next
sorry.
door, yeah.
she's right next door. Is she a homeowner?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think I would have any issue as long as everything's up, made
I
current.
think
She's
since
a
we require
homeowner.
the parcels to be combined with their own parcel at this point, it's not something of, it takes out that concern of future neglect or, you know, not paying taxes
Not
and
paying
things like
taxes
that.
and get recycled back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns with this one.
No.
Okay.
Good.
Then I would seek a motion to approve the offer for 212 East 30th Street.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. 506 East 28th. Okay, so he's across the street. Here again, are they the owners of that property?
Yes.
Okay.
Any idea of an intended use?
Just for parking,
I'm sorry, for parking?
just for parking, yes.
So if they create a parking lot on a residential spot, will they because is it 4 spots or more that have to be drained into hard surface? Stormwater and so on. And do they know that? Just thinking ahead.
Right.
See, I remember some things there, you know.
I mean, I guess you may want to let them know they can't just go in and pave the whole lot.
I don't think they were planning on
Probably
it. I
aren't,
think they were
but-
just using the pad that was there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And just, I think it's good business, just to let them know if, as future development, here would be the rules to develop it more fully. But if I remember correctly, I think it's 4 spots or more require stormwater management, hard surface, and landscaping, I think, if I remember, the setbacks. How am I doing, Dad? Am I doing okay?
Okay. Any other questions or comments, concerns? If not, I'd seek a motion to approve the offer for 506 East 28th Street.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. 1014 West 20th Street.
They are side yard owners.
Side yard, homeowner. Okay. Everything's current. If there are no concerns, I'd seek a motion to approve. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're tabling State Street. Okay, 502 Dunn Boulevard. Once again, homeowner, right? Correct?
Homeowner, yep, side yard, and this was actually one that was under contract some time ago, and the person failed to come in and sign the agreement and actually refused to come in and sign it, so I'm happy that another neighbor is now wanting to make it part of their parcel.
This is a different buyer. This
Yes.
isn't the one that didn't come in.
Yes,
Okay.
different.
Mhm.
Okay. Very good. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Mindy? On to disposition 1737 East, or, I'm sorry, West 6th.
Yes, so in your packet, you have just some information regarding this property. It is in the Frontier neighborhood. It is a 2-story brick house. Because of its location, it obviously has had a lot of interest in it, people calling us wanting to rehabilitate it. We had determined early on that it will be a demolition candidate. I will show you pictures of the inside of it. A pipe broke in this house and ran for a very long time, destroying the entire interior. There's a very strong smell coming out of it. The basement is full of black mold.
Is there a way to adjust the lights down? Is it,
I think these are just worse. You might be able to see better pictures here.
okay.
That's the living room.
Oh, that's,
Thank you.
That's the living room. It's full of stuff that you can see the damage to the ceilings. Everything is damp.
Wow,
The dining room.
driven by there so many times.
I know, never noticed.
I mean, the property had a lot of promise. I mean, we certainly, when we were acquiring it, we had all hoped that we would get in there and be able to put it out for developer proposals and then have it rehabilitated. Once we were able to get inside, which we had to go through a window because the doors were all swollen shut, it is probably the worst property that I have been in for the authority. And that includes multiple hoarding situations. The mold smell coming out of the property was absolutely horrendous. We basically took the pictures and got out of the property. That, you
We
know,
shouldn't have been in there without Matt's son.
so, you know,
And not just Matt, but respirators.
yeah, you know, so in our discussion on this property, it was one of those, well, to what point, you know, would this property need to be rehabilitated? It would be a gut to the studs, mold remediation. I mean, the floors are buckled, you know, they're given the area, they're solid hardwood floors. As Mindy said, there's been a substantial amount of interest from people, you know, wanting to rehabilitate this.
Probably haven't seen it yet, though.
You can see the mold
What's
going
that?
up the stairs.
They probably don't know what it looks like.
No, most of them have not been inside. I did send them off to a local company who does a lot of historic restoration in town, that the owner had some potential interest in rehabilitating this property, and they said that they would not put the money into it, that some of them just aren't worth that money. So it's unfortunate, you know, but it is our decision that demolition is the only
Can you leave that up? right
feasible
there?
option for that property. I know Mr. Konachik provided the property at the corner of 6th and Cascade. I was in that property as well back when we, you know, owned that and sold it under a developer proposal. That property was in bad shape. It did have a hole in the roof, but it was in far better condition than this property on West 6th Street.
So the main question at this point with this property, given its condition and knowing that it really should be a demolition candidate, because the other thing that Aaron and I talked about too was that we didn't feel that just public opinion of what should be done should supersede what we feel is the safety and for the health of the community. Because at one point we did start questioning, well, maybe we should put it out for developer, even though we knew that you could easily put 300,000 into this house and possibly not be done. So knowing that it should be a demolition candidate, then the next piece of why we're talking about this here is to determine what should be done with that parcel of land once the demolition has been completed. We did request in the demolition proposals to include all the trees, the removal of the concrete driveway, which they normally wouldn't do, to make it a very fresh, new parcel of land. We have received one applicant that is interested in purchasing the land for development. We have received one application of a neighbor who really wants to purchase it because they don't have very big driveway spaces and things like that, so they want it to add on to their yard. So as the bullet points in here talk about, you know, what do we feel is the proper use for the parcel? If we do feel that it should be developed into a new house, do we add stipulations to what that looks like so that it conforms to the neighborhood? And how do we go about making sure that that takes place? And then if it's a vacant lot to a neighbor, you know, it comes down to price too, because we're looking at a plot of land in a community that's, you know, I did a comp analysis and a comparable vacant lot sold for $25,000.
Has
Yeah,
anybody contacted or looked at from a zoning perspective with setbacks and so on? Is this even a buildable lot after the demolition
We
occurs?
believe it is, yes.
Yeah, I believe there might be some variances that would need to be presented and approved, but it's certainly a buildable lot.
Okay, that's,
I mean, I can
It's a
say,
small lot though, I mean, you
Yeah.
can see
Yeah.
how close everything is.
so two things. Number one, I mean, I agree, I don't think we, just because it's in Frontier, pour every dollar we have into trying to save it. So I don't think, you know, that's, I don't speak for everybody else, but again, this is why we have This is why we put LERTA on the books.
Mhm.
This is why we're trying to incentivize development in the city. I personally would like to see a new development there. As much as, the neighbor, I'm sure they want a bigger yard, but this is, we're trying to incentivize new development and expansion of tax base, so.
Exactly. I have another question that's a little more historical. So if I'm a homeowner and there's a total loss of my property and I get an insurance check, aren't I required to rebuild? Or how does somebody,
We've never been able to contact the homeowner.
I
We
see.
understand that just from research, the husband had passed away some years ago.
Okay.
I do believe that the wife is in a nursing facility. And there is a daughter in town, but again, that no one has ever returned. We've sent letters and have tried reaching out and we've never.
yeah. My question is there a cash resource out there that is obligated to that property? Why should the land bank always bear everybody, bail everybody out? So that would be my question.
It's a good point, because a house like that, I'm sure there was insurance involved.
Oh, sure. I mean,
If they didn't have a mortgage, then they aren't required to have insurance. So,
Probably didn't have
The
it.
families letting it go, they're probably just walking away afraid to assume any liability.
Yeah.
They probably let the homeowner, what you're talking about, there would have been just homeowners on that. Absolutely. We could have, there could be some benefit
Mhm.
coming to us as taking it over, but I don't believe that. They let it lapse. Our utilities are probably off.
water was, the water was terminated in September of 2021, I believe. I mean, they've been out of the property since the early 2000s, from what we can,
Yeah.
yeah.
We actually, I believe, condemned the business that
Yes.
That the husband owns.
Acquired it at tax sale.
okay, acquired
So,
it
a
at
couple
tax
years
sale.
ago,
It was
702
ago.
Raspberry.
So I would love to see a new home built there. I'm not quite sure the mechanics of how we work with code enforcement and design review from this group. Or if- that's not really our dominion, so it's,
Right.
I'm not sure how we put a stipulation on that. I agree, though, there should be some sort of standard design or build requirement, but I don't know if that's more than what code enforcement's already gonna require.
Yeah, that's kind of beyond any of the ordinances within
Yeah.
the city of Erie, and given that there's no historic designation out there, there'd be
Right.
no review by the HRC, so it's really just throwing it out there. If somebody wants to build a house to really, as long as they conform with zoning, that's the only requirement. That was kind of, Mindy and I had that discussion, is how do we, as good stewards, make sure that somebody doesn't come in and build a vinyl sided box within this neighborhood. I
So
mean, we're
could
not
we-
saying they would, but, I mean, it's certainly possible.
So could we, in our agreement, put in there a deed restriction where it's gotta be a certain square footage, a certain exterior? You see this on other properties, could we do that here? We're all looking at you, Gene.
I know this property really well, and it's really too bad because I know no one wants to deal with a lawyer if you don't have to, but if they would have reached out to a lawyer 5 years ago, this could have been saved and could have been a benefit to this poor lady and probably help pay someone. But I would think that that Frontier subdivision is going to have requirements that we would mandate that they follow. And I can even find out if there is an active association, they're monitoring that and make sure, hey, look, this is what we're doing, keep them in the loop, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going. We want to make sure that someone just doesn't put something in there that detracts from the neighbor, because it's right on the corner. I think that we could work with the proper entities here within the city and also their association to make sure that it's appropriate for that
I agree with that. It definitely, if there's a neighborhood association, we should be in touch with.
Do you think we can move forward today approving this, and part of that approval is the design will have to match whatever historical restrictions were in the subdivision? I'm not quite sure how we want to word that. I don't necessarily want to hold this up.
I mean, we could certainly always request that anybody putting in a proposal provides at least some kind of elevation of their proposed development on the property, you know, that, so that that could be approved and put into the developer, you know, proposal. I mean, yeah, and we could work with Gene to see how we can structure that, or.
I mean,
or
we could
enter
have,
into
we
an
could have it
agreement.
that they have to come back here again. We have to review the design, right? I
Absolutely. We
mean,
haven't put it out for anything yet, so this
Yeah.
is just deciding what we wanted, kind of the disposition of the parcel to be anyway, but we haven't put it out.
so I mean, they're going to have to come back anyway, so.
Yeah, it was my thought that perhaps we could ask for more level of detail in the developer proposal, and that maybe even have some sort of ability for final approval of the design. You know, that they're giving us something that's more than just, we're gonna build a home, whether it's early drawings or it's some sort of specs of what that would be, so that we have that ability to approve.
Right, yeah, I don't know how many were on the board when we sold 1904 June Street, but the individual who purchased that and wanted to build a in-home daycare, I mean, she provided a complete package of information, you know, blueprints, elevations, you know, planned kind of a budget for how she wants to do it. She hasn't moved forward with that, she's still trying to organize funding, but, I mean, she did provide a very well put-together package that, you know, showed what her intent for the property was.
And I just want to say one other thing, that, again, being the school board representative on this board, I have to speak clearly in favor of an additional development here. I mean, just for the property taxes, whatever low amount they might be, we need all of that certainly to support our city and our schools. So I need to speak certainly in favor of development here.
Yep. So I think, I mean, at this point, we're not,
No,
this is just to get an understanding of what we'd like to see. So, I mean, I think we're all in agreement that new development is really, we don't, yep. So, okay. Terrific, thank you. Are you good, Mindy? Okay. All right, let's move on to other business then, if there is any.
that is all I have.
Okay. Committee, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I guess we are good to adjourn. Thank you, everyone.